For drawing your landscape, your surreal landscape, you're going to be working on paper, of course, with ruler and pencil. We'll add color media later or shading later. But for now, just a couple tips on getting started. I have a vague idea in my mind of what I want to do as far as like the surreal components of my piece. I'm sure they will kind of evolve as I'm working, but I at least have a little bit of an idea. You're going to start off, of course, by establishing a horizon line just like you would with any other piece. Your horizon line can exist in the middle of your piece, or you can move it up or move it down based on what it is that you're doing. My idea for my piece, I'm going to have kind of some things like going up into the air. So I've established my horizon line not quite at the middle, but a little bit lower because I want to have things in the sky. So I'm just giving the sky a little bit more space. And then before I get started actually working with perspective, I'm going to just very lightly kind of lay out with my pencil where I want things to be. Now the perspective on this will not be, I'm not even going to try to do any kind of perspective right now. I'm just going to sort of lay in where I want things to be, so that as I get going, I can work on my perspective correctly, but I've got at least an idea of a layout that I want to work with. So I'm going to have kind of these elements happening in these places that I'm just laying in these little circles. So I have a plan for my composition before I start anything else. And then I'm able to get to work on my piece with just some general composition in mind. Be aware that things are going to overlap likely. So as you're working your perspective, draw real lightly so that you can erase away lines that you don't need before darkening down the lines that you end up wanting to keep. Just keep everything really light until you are totally finished drawing, then darken things down. So when you're working with perspective, one really important thing is just to make sure you're keeping consistent and you're searching for those little details that are going to make it realistic. For example, in this building, I have it so that my windows are see-through, like you can see all the way into the structure. But I'm missing part of the building to make this realistic. I remembered to add in the floor here. So I connected my corner so that I would add in the floor, but I realized I didn't add in the ceiling. So things like that are going to make your work consistent. Like just hunt for those little details that are going to be important to add and to have in order to make things look like they can be real. And it's just this very simple little part here, but then I'm also going to need, just like in the transparent cubes, I'm going to need to connect through with this back corner as well, because if it truly is see-through, those are parts of my building that I would be able to see. So things like that are really important to sort of just hunt out and make sure that they're being represented accurately. Otherwise, part of my building would be missing. So now I've got a little more realism happening here because I have those last little details. I think that's pretty much it for this one. So the next step will be adding shading and or color to the piece.